Hello and welcome. I'm Eric Gao with a look back at the presidential inauguration in case you missed it. On May 20th, Taiwan's new president Lai Ching-te took his oath of office. Many international delegations were in Taipei for the ceremony, including representatives from Taiwan's 12 diplomatic allies and politicians from the U.S. and Europe. Rick Lauert was outside the presidential office on the big day.
Pomp, pageantry and national pride as Taiwan inaugurates its fifth directly elected president. 64-year-old Lai Ching-te of the Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP, is making history. It's the first time any one party will hold the presidential office for 3 terms in a row since direct elections began.
此时此刻，我们不只是见证新政府的开始，也是再一次迎接得来不易的民主胜利。
Lai, who is also the preceding vice president, will govern with Bi Kim Hsiao as his VP. She's a former envoy to the US. Lai has big shoes to fill, taking over from widely popular Tsai Ing-wen, known for standing up to neighbouring China, which claims sovereignty over Taiwan and has become increasingly belligerent over Tsai's 8-year administration.
我也要呼吁中国，停止对台湾文攻武吓，一起和台湾承担全球的责任。 致力于维持台海及区域的和平稳定。
China has made its displeasure over a third DPP presidency known, labelling Lai a dangerous separatist. From this presidential office, Lai, like his predecessor, will have to balance defending Taiwan's sovereignty without overly antagonizing China. But he's facing a very different domestic political situation. While his party won the presidency in elections earlier this year, they lost control of the legislature. That's now in the hands of 2 opposition groups which disagree with Lai's stance on China, and he may now struggle to pass the bills he needs to make good on his national defence promises, particularly purchasing weapons from the US and funding domestic defence projects to keep China at bay. Outside his new office, a vibrant signal of this new president's values. Performances of Taiwan's unique culture watched by dignitaries from overseas. An optimistic vision of the Taiwan he hopes to foster during his 4-year term, but one that will require grit and determination under difficult local and global political conditions. Alex Chen and Rick Lauert for TaiwanPlus.
A new president's inaugural speech is always closely examined for hints at how this new leader will deal with foreign affairs and relations with China. For more on President Lai's first speech as president, Chris Gorin sat down with Professor Scott Simon of the University of Ottawa.
So what are your major takeaways from Lai's inaugural speech?
The number one takeaway that I have is his hope that Taiwan is for the world and the world is for Taiwan. And so it's his hope that the world will recognize the importance of Taiwan for the well-being of the world. Yeah, well, I think that one thing that I would like to do later is sit down and count and try to look at the number of times that he mentions Taiwan and the number of times he says Republic of China. It seems to me that this particular speech was far more Taiwan-centric than the speeches have been in the past. I mean, we have to go back and read Chen Shui-bian's, for example. But it seems like the percentage of use of the word Taiwan rather than Republic of China seems to be quite high.
He did also mention early in his speech, he refers to, the Republic of China, Taiwan, as being a sovereign, independent country. And I do believe that it's the first time that the word independent has actually been used in an inaugural speech. It's been used in other speeches, but not during the inauguration. Do you think that that is significant, or do you think it represents kind of the status quo?
Well, I think that represents the status quo, actually. And I'm just thinking back towards, I'm looking back at Tsai Ing-wen, I'm looking back to Ma Ying-jeou, just thinking about that. And I think that they all stressed the sovereignty. Ma Ying-jeou talked about the sovereignty of the Republic of China. And then there's Republic of China, Taiwan, right? And I think that was also one of the main things of the speech today, because he said no matter whether you call this country the Republic of China, Taiwan, or Taiwan, we can all come together and support the sovereignty of this country. I think that was something very special about this speech.
So in your view, how do you expect China to react to what Lai said in his speech?
So I think that he tried to give an olive branch to China. I think he wants there to be a peaceful relationship. He said neither will be subordinate to the other. That's language that Ma Ying-jeou has used, so it's got a long history. So I think that he's trying to have a good relationship with China. But he says we have to be realistic because he's also very aware of the fact that China's not that interested in having a peaceful relationship with Taiwan. China's interest is to annex Taiwan, which is anything but peaceful.
That was Chris Gorin speaking with Professor Scott Simon. Now, lots of people turned up to see the inauguration in person. Joyce Sung was there in the crowd to find out their hopes for Taiwan under Lai's leadership.
Here at the presidential office, thousands of people have traveled across the country to catch a glimpse of their new president, Lai Ching-te, and to enjoy in the day celebrations like this musical performance by a choir singing classic Taiwanese melodies. Now, people here tell me that what Taiwan needs most right now is unity, both domestically and with its global partners in the face of a growing Chinese threat to take away Taiwan's self-rule.
最需要就是要团结了，真的想让台湾要团结，但是还是看台湾人啦。我们台湾自己要凝聚那个心力，我们要一致的对外。
三党要团结哦，我们台湾是最好的福报，这样子好，台湾也是很有自由的，我们台湾才会有前进，才会有国际观。
大家就是希望是和平的，对，两岸和平。对。
现在大陆习近平一直想要把台湾统一了，一定会施很大的压力的，那就我相信他最主要就是台湾的民主主权一定不能。民主自由主权一定不能忘，不然什么都没有嘛。
Taiwan's distinct and vibrant culture is front and center in celebrations here. Earlier we heard folk drum beats, then there was Taiwanese and Hakka rap, two languages representative of Taiwan. There was even a 10-meter tall rain horse, a character from a Hakka children's story meant to be a symbol of hope and Taiwan's diversity. But people here tell me it's Taiwan's political diversity they're also worried about. Many pointed to the dramatic brawl in Parliament, which broke out just days ago over legislative reforms. No single party, including Lai's, has a legislative majority, and this fight between lawmakers is expected to continue when they resume discussions on Tuesday, just a day after Lai's inauguration. But for today, at least, the focus is on welcoming a new president, and people certainly have high hopes for Taiwan in the next 4 years. Joseph Wu and Joyce Sun at the presidential office for TaiwanPlus.
The opposition Kuomintang responded to President Lai's inauguration with well wishes and a great deal of criticism. At a press conference, party chair Eric Zhu criticized Lai's claim to a mandate, saying he won only 40% of the vote in January's presidential election and that he doesn't command a majority in the legislature. Zhu also criticized Lai's China policy. Now, Lai faces some big challenges during his first term in office. One of his toughest jobs will be meeting voters' high expectations. John Van Triest explains.
New President Lai Ching-te has capped a long political career, winning his Democratic Progressive Party its third straight term in office. But there are signs the honeymoon might not last long. Among the most recent, this opposition rally in Taipei on the eve of his inauguration. Attendees said they felt let down by the DPP's last 2 terms. Their grievances included frustration with political infighting and lack of progress on reforming the legislature. And then there are the issues on everyone's lips: wages and housing.
比如说让贫富差距变小，然后让大家买得起房子，可是没有啊，因为我也曾经投过蔡英文，但是他让我很失望，因为房价越来越高。
他当初的诉求就是房价高要打房，可是他执政之后房价更高了，真的很扯。
自从这8年，民党政府承诺说要解决贫富差距的问题，但是我们看数据上来说，贫富差距是扩大的。再来还有是这个房屋分配不均的问题，房价高涨。
People on the street, even some who wish Lai success, also have high expectations for change. They point to Taiwan's mounting issues with financial fraud.
我觉得台湾是一个诈骗王国，所以我希望可以有比较好的方式去解决大家对投资的误解或是被诈骗的风险。
台湾的诈骗一定要好好的清理啊！台湾诈骗实在是太多了。台湾有好几种、好几个，真的要需要改进的，就是我们的枪赌毒这种东西太泛滥。
Lai Ching-te won January's election with just over 40% of the vote. Voices like these suggest that as he settles into the presidential office, he still has a lot of persuading to do. Klein Wang and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
The inauguration is a huge event that only happens every 4 years. Laurel Stewart breaks down the tradition, ceremony, and history of presidential inaugurations here in Taiwan.
A day in history and a new beginning. A presidential inauguration is when a new hand is raised to make the same solemn pledge to the Taiwanese people. It's an oath prescribed by the Constitution, with each new president and vice president sworn in on the same day, May 20th, the day Chiang Kai-shek took office in 1948 as the leader of the Republic of China. He took power in China during the civil war between the Chinese nationalists, or the Kuomintang, and the Chinese Communist Party. But when the nationalists were defeated, the communists established the People's Republic of China, or the PRC, while Chiang brought his Republic of China, or ROC, government across the strait to Taiwan. In those early days in Taiwan, inaugurations were used to showcase the ruling Kuomintang's military power.
Well, there's much more emphasis on military ceremonies. You have the honor guard of the military. You have this display of the military history of the ROC.
But Taiwan is no longer the country it was under Chiang Kai-shek's dictatorship, and inaugurations are now a reminder of 1996, when Taiwan's first direct presidential elections ushered in today's democracy with the election of Lee Teng-hui.
President Lee and then President Chen, I think these are inaugural speeches. On one hand, these presidents want to establish the sovereignty of Taiwan, but on the other hand, they acknowledge that they had to deal with a powerful neighbor, which is PRC.
And inaugural speeches have since become a litmus test, signalling the incoming administration's views on domestic issues and cross-strait policies.
20年来，台湾两岸的宪法定位就是一个中华民国，两个地区，历经3位总统，从未改变。
我们不会接受北京当局以一国两制矮化台湾，破坏台海的现状。
And with these speeches closely watched by Beijing, they lay the foundation for smooth or rocky cross-strait relations.
I think the most immediate concern about the upcoming inauguration is perhaps what the PRC is going to do in response, whether we're going to see increasing pressures against Taiwan.
But alongside the speeches, vibrant performances kick-started new traditions.
For example, when Taiwan took office, there was a performance called Taiwan's Light, which staged the 400 years of Taiwan's history, beginning with indigenous history, the history of Dutch and Portuguese and Spanish colonization, the Japanese colonial period, and the KMT coming to Taiwan as well.
These kind of presentations highlighting Taiwan's history and diversity are center stage at this year's inauguration too. But beyond the fanfare, this day marks a moment in history, one in which the incoming president shows Taiwan's people and its neighbors how he will lead the country into a prosperous and peaceful future. Eason Chen and Laurel Stewart for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching in case you missed it. Finally, check out some more scenes from Lai's inauguration. I'm Eric Gao. Take care of yourselves.